So, when I was younger, I was a boy. One summer, I was growing my hair out, and a friend of mine wanted to tease me by saying that I looked like a girl at a glance. Instead of being annoyed or upset, I asked in a slightly expectant manner, "Really?" Which made my friend very confused, and he started to apologize to me and said he was just joking. A couple of years later, I found myself in America going to attend college. Since I was an international student, I had to attend onboarding talks where they explain various things like LGBT issues, racism, wealth disparity, and all that kind of stuff. And in the talk where they explain LGBT issues, the lady handling the speech talked about how gender identity, that is what your gender is, and sexual attraction, that is who you're attracted to, are separate things. And that made me go, uh-oh. Because my reasoning for saying that I wasn't trans was like, I like girls, so I couldn't possibly want to be one, right? While listening to the talk, I swear I could hear the sound of a gate opening in my head, like one of those very heavy iron gates. But somehow, I managed to lock those gates in time and repress myself. Presumably because I wasn't prepared for how I would deal with my life changing around that new identity. So 2 years later, sad and depressed and looking for memes to ease the pain, I stumbled into a post in r/anime IRL, which has something to do with a cross-dressing character, and I was like, why are all these people talking about eggs? So I click on the egg RL subreddit, and oh boy, that's where the gates just broke open. For example, did you know that non-trans people don't constantly wish they were born the other gender? I didn't, and I spent the majority of my life thinking that things would be simpler if I was just born a girl. And I also thought everyone thought that too. Turns out they don't. And I also constantly said I want to be a cute anime girl to my friends. And somehow that didn't make me realize. So after looking at all those memes and having an identity crisis, I had the answer to the question. Am I trans? And the answer was yes. I was very trans. So I realized that I was trans, and the next question was, what do I do now that I know I'm trans? So the first thing I did was draw a bunch of comics based on that revelation, which, while very fun, was just me procrastinating on actually doing anything. I was in the stage of, now I know what's up with me, so it's fine now. It was not fine. For those unaware, trans people have a gender identity that's different from the one that they're born with. So if you're a guy, imagine you wake up one day and you're a girl now. You'd want to change back to being a guy, right? Right? The next step was obviously to change or transition to my preferred gender, to become an anime girl. So that's easier said than done. The method I would use to do so would be HRT. Don't worry, it's not a complicated word. It just means hormone replacement therapy, HRT. Meaning, if you're born a woman and want to be a man, you just yoink the estrogen out of the body and replace it with testosterone, and vice versa for trans women. So I planned to go on HRT while I was in the US by going to a gender clinic. But then I had to leave the country because my family and I couldn't afford college anymore. Oops. But I am currently on HRT, although it's self-administered, which makes me terrified, but I'd rather die than not do this. So, yeah. Although to any trans people watching this who want to go on HRT, if you have an option that's not a DIY option, please take that instead. This can be very dangerous. I forgot to mention, but the main reason I take HRT and want to transition is because I want to live in society as a woman instead of as a man. That's also part of the reason why I practice my voice to be like this. Which, if you find annoying, don't worry, I sometimes do too. Though I'm surprised you got this far into the video if you did find it annoying. So I managed to answer that question of, what do I do now that I know I'm trans? Just go on HRT, I guess. But of course, there is always more questions to ask. And the next one, and the one I'm still working on to this point, is how do I live now that I'm trans? That one really stumped me and still does to this day. Remember how I mentioned earlier that I thought I couldn't be trans because I like girls? Well, turns out I could. But could I? Lesbians are already a minority in the population, and lesbian women who are open to dating trans women are probably a minority within the minority. So my dating pool went from this size to this size. Also, I became more open to dating men, but that's also scary because I don't want to be someone's experiment instead of their partner. So it's a theoretical openness to dating them, I guess. Coming out to my family is also a thing that I have to do now. Because, they're going to have questions because I'm speaking in this voice and my hair is down to my ribcage. And now I'm also starting to grow boobs because of HRT, so they're going to notice. When I told my mom, she was against it and confused at first. But over time, she warmed up to the idea and is generally supportive of it now. Though she still insists on calling me her son instead of her daughter. But that's something I'll have to live with, I guess. I don't ever plan on telling my father, though, considering our relationship. And if he ever asks me, I'll just say he didn't notice all this time that I had boobs and, had a girl voice. Or something like that. I don't know. After I'm done coming out to my family, the next step, of course, is to come out to my friends. And that was terrifying. Even though my friends are nice, it's still terrifying, because what if I don't want to do anything with me now? Or what if they find me creepy or disgusting? Are the thoughts that I have in my head when I think about coming out to them. It's just kind of stupid and funny, because I've been interacting with them with this voice for a while now, and using feminine gestures, and just generally presenting very feminine. So if they had a problem with me, they would have left a long time ago. Thankfully, none of my friends left because I'm trans, and I'm so thankful for that. Even though they annoy me sometimes, and no doubt I annoy them too. But that's what friends are for, am I right? Living as a trans person means that you're living as the gender you prefer, that is, socially transitioning. But of course, nothing is that simple. In some countries, you can change your gender on your ID after you transition, which is fantastic. Because then you won't have the problem of looking full on like a woman, and then someone being like, aha, gotcha, after they look at your ID. Because they think they've caught you somehow after reading your birth gender. And I'm just trying to present this way because this is what makes me happy, not because I'm trying to trick anyone. Unfortunately, I don't live in a country where it's possible to change the gender on my ID. The previous scenario has not actually happened to me. It's just a colorful scenario that my brain brings up from time to time to terrify me. Though if it has happened to you, I'm very, very sorry. And by the way, that's a very optimistic scenario considering that you look like a woman and you pass other people's standards of what a woman should be. I have this very delightful experience of being 6 feet when the average height of a woman is 5 feet in my country. But should I care about what other people think about me or could be thinking about me? Probably not, as long as my life isn't affected by the reception of me. Though that's not what my brain tells me. So the answer to the question, how do I live as a trans person, seems to be a work in progress. Though I still feel like I'm making progress, unlike the next question, which is, how do I live as a trans person in society? Because we live in a society. Content warning. If you're a trans person, just a heads up because things get heavy in this section. So, a warning in case you decide to keep watching. It gets quite heavy. This also applies if you're not a trans person. The question doesn't seem too different from the last one, does it? But the thing is, your interactions with individual people, friends and family, and your interactions with systems that run society are entirely different things. Did you know that in a majority of the countries in the world, gay marriage is still not legal? Two people who happen to be the same gender, who love each other, and even if their love doesn't affect anyone else, can't marry each other, because some people who have power decided it has to be that way. I happen to be trans, so depending on how you look at my relationship with another person, someone who doesn't like trans people can just decide it's a gay relationship and prevent me from getting married. If my partner happens to be a guy, they can just decide it's a gay relationship because of the gender I was born as. If my partner happens to be a woman, they can just say it's a gay relationship because it's two women dating each other. Which Well, they're not wrong. They're using that fact to be a jerk about it. That's just one example. Like, did you know that trans people have lower life expectancies than non-trans people? We can just be living our lives and someone can just decide that they want to end our life subscription because they don't like how we're living our lives, as if it affects them in any way. And I'm not making this up, by the way. Many trans people have lost their lives for this very stupid reason. Am I terrified? Yes! I have games that I want to play, goals that I want to achieve, and I want to be in a relationship with someone I love and who also loves me. And I want to hang out with my friends and just have fun with them. And all of that can just be ended because someone decided to kill me just because I'm trans. And it doesn't help that there are people who have so much more power and say in society, painting us as the problem, the villains. From politicians who whip up a frenzy in their base against the trans just to get their attention and their votes in the next election cycle, to a famous and an ultra-wealthy author who fights for good when in reality all they're doing is using their political leverage and money to screw over a group who's already screwed over by life, when all we want to do is just live. When I realized that I was trans, I also realized that I have become the subject of a culture war, where people offline and online want to dictate how I live my life and what I do, even if it doesn't affect them in any way. Some people have this ridiculous obsession with the lives of trans people. Like, type in any trans person's name in Google, and you'll most likely be autofilled to before or real face. Like, why do they care? Some people also do this very smart thing where they point out a person who happens to be trans who's also either a sex offender or is very morally dubious, and they paint all trans people as monsters or sexual deviants. Those people exist, yes, and trans people are not okay with them. And yet, they use them as representatives of the entire community. Imagine if people did that with men or women. Oh, let's just take a mass murderer and say since he's a man, all men are mass murderers. Take a serial killer, and since she's a woman, just say that all women are serial killers. Is that fair? Does that make any sense? No. Weirdos, creeps, and monsters exist in every single gender and sexuality. It does not work like that. I'm scared. I'm scared that my existence and my rights are so fragile and out of my reach. Sometimes to the point where I wish I wasn't trans, just to not have to deal with all of these. But it doesn't work like that. Gender, like sexuality, is not a choice. I have tried being a guy, and I don't think I can live like that. It didn't work. I probably would have quit life before I'm 30. There's something I say every now and then to make things more bearable. You just have to play with the cards that you've been dealt. It's not the best thing to say, but it helps my monkey brain come to terms with my reality a lot more easily. I have been dealt cards that are hard to use and ones that are not strong or useful at all, but I still have to use them and play with them somehow in this game of life. And sometimes it can be fun. Being the gender I identify as can be exhilarating, and it also makes me so happy sometimes. The first time I took a selfie and I thought, that person looks like a girl, I felt a form of relief and happiness that I haven't felt for a long time. When my hair grew out and I could do this, it felt fantastic. And when people call me Miss or Ma'am, I feel like everything's all right at that very moment. It's just that some people have to make everything else so hard. So, what's the answer to how do I live as a trans person in society? I guess the answer is as best as I can. Bonus question. Why did I decide to make this video? I guess I felt like I wanted to tell my own experience and my story for people to know. And I guess with so many people trying to put their weight into conversations about trans people, I felt I had to get my voice out. Like the conversations about trans athletes. I'm a trans person, but I know close to nothing about sports and stuff. So I don't think it's my lane that I should be saying anything there. I'm not informed enough to give my take. But there are people who know as little as I do giving their takes and then trying to hurt trans people off of that. And I guess I wanted a way to connect with other trans people and to give non trans people, by the way, that's called cis people. If you've been confused for the longest time by what that word means, don't worry, I've been there too. A few into my mind, I guess. A few things I couldn't quite mention before because they didn't quite fit. Well, I had my self realization in part due to anime IRL and egg IRL. These communities have their own flaws, and I don't want to endorse them as places to find your own identity in. Everyone's self expression is different, and it might take a while for you to find yourself and your community. Oh, something I should point out there are trans people who choose to socially transition, but not medically transition, and that's fine too. Everyone has their own way of expressing their gender identity, and this is just how I express mine as an anime girl. If you watched this video this far, thank you for spending your time to listen to my thoughts. I hope that was at least a bit informative or entertaining. And if you watched through the previous segments, I'm sorry that was so heavy. If you're a trans person, I hope my experience can make the difficult parts at least a little bit easier. And if you're a cis person, thank you for deciding to listen to this trans person, despite all the negative rhetoric around us. That's the end of the video. Thank you, and I wish you all the very best.